At the beginning of the story, we see a very straightforward man named Henry, working the night shift at a toll booth. His face looks as though his life is completely dull. When he gets home in the morning, his wife says to him, "You don't love me anymore, do you? I remember when you did. Everything was so different then." Just as they were talking, someone knocked loudly on the door. When Henry opened it, he found his friend Eddie standing there with a man named Joe, who seemed very ill and kept throwing up. Since Debbie is a nurse, she let Joe inside to help him. Eddie then told Henry, "Bro, today is the game for his basketball team. He can't play in this condition, so you should play in his place." Henry tried to refuse, but Eddie insisted and got him to wear a jersey. Henry asked, "Where is the game?" Eddie replied, "It's not far, just 15 minutes away." Eddie then told Henry to stay in the car with it running, saying, "We'll be back in a bit. Just going to grab some food. Is that all right?" As they left, Eddie and two other men put on masks. Henry didn't know these two men. The three of them pulled out guns and went into a bank. Henry, still unaware, thought he was just the driver, but he was in a stolen car. After a while, the robbers came out of the bank and started running. A guard noticed Henry and arrested him because of his shirt, which looked like something a criminal would wear. The police interrogated Henry and tried to get him to name the others, but Henry only knew Eddie. He didn't even mention Eddie's name, thinking he was just a friend. As a result, Henry was sentenced to 3 years for attempting to rob a bank. When Henry entered prison, he met Max, who treated him well. The next day, while having breakfast, Max told Henry that every prisoner had once had dreams, but something bad happened, and they ended up in prison. He asked Henry, "What's your dream?" Henry responded, "I don't have a dream." Max replied, "Not having a dream is the biggest crime. So, tell me, what is it?" Henry repeated his answer, and Max said, "What's the point of life if you don't have a dream?" 6 months later, Debbie came to visit Henry and told him, "I've fallen in love with someone else." Henry, showing maturity, said, "It's okay. I just want you to be happy. If you can't be with me, then it's fine with someone else." Meanwhile, Max started to feel at home in the prison. The prisoners began talking about when Max was asked by a parole officer what he would do if they let him out, and Max had replied, "I'll break into your house, kill your dog, burn your house down, and cut out the tongues of everything living inside." Henry was told that his parole review was coming up, and he said it would be next month. One of the inmates said, "Everyone believes Henry is innocent," to which Henry responded, "I didn't commit any crime." Max told him, "Just because you didn't do anything, everyone outside will think you're guilty." Soon, Henry was granted parole and went straight to meet Debbie. But when Joe opened the door, Henry was shocked to see Debbie was pregnant. He silently wondered how much his life had changed. Debbie showed him all his belongings and asked, "So, what will you do now?" Henry didn't respond, and just then, Joe offered him a business deal, thanking him for not mentioning his name in court. Henry responded, "I don't even know your name," and left quietly. Later, Henry stood outside the bank where everything began, when suddenly a car hit him, knocking him to the ground. It was Julie driving. She insulted him but then asked if he was okay. A bank guard came by and suggested calling an ambulance, but Henry refused. The guard helped him to a nearby cafe where Julie followed. Henry recognized her and said, "I've seen you somewhere before," to which Julie replied, "Don't look at me, just keep walking." Afterward, while in the bathroom, Henry noticed an old newspaper article about a bank robbery using an underground tunnel connected to a theater behind the bank. Henry visited Max in prison and told him, "I found my dream. Robbing that bank is my dream, and that's how I ended up here." When Max asked if he had a plan, Henry assured him it was a top-class plan. Soon, they went to the theater where Julie was rehearsing. After a confrontation between Julie and her director, she went to the coffee shop, where Henry followed her and complimented her acting. Julie thanked Henry for not filing a complaint about the accident. Later, Max also applied for parole. After a few questions, he was released, and when Henry came to pick him up, Max was upset when he found out Henry didn't have a car, since Henry had walked there. Henry explained his plan, and Max was taken aback. Henry assured him it would work without violence. They visited the bank, and Max cleverly confirmed with the assistant manager that the vault had never been moved. The two of them then headed to the theater to inspect the tunnel, where Julie was once again surprised to see them. Max's idea was to replace an actor in the theater who had access to the green room, but Henry wasn't familiar with acting. Max convinced him he was a natural. Henry passed the audition, and everything seemed to fall into place for their plan. They realized they needed Julie's help, and after convincing her, she joined the plan. Meanwhile, Henry and Julie grew closer, and Henry began to fall in love with her. But Max grew frustrated, realizing Henry was becoming emotionally attached and was reluctant to go through with the robbery. As the day of the heist approached, Max and Henry continued to prepare, but Henry found himself torn. He didn't want to leave Julie. Max insisted on going through with it, and on the day of the heist, everything seemed to go according to plan. But Eddie turned on them, pointing a gun at Max. He threatened to ruin everything, but Max managed to overpower him. In the chaos, Henry was shot in the leg, but he still performed his scene in the play as part of the plan. Eventually, Henry, Max, and Joe got the money and tried to escape. Henry stopped the car, telling Max and Joe to run, and headed back to the theater to confess his love to Julie. While the audience thought it was part of the play, Julie realized Henry truly loved her. After a brief pause, she didn't say yes, but her expression said it all. In the end, Henry got the girl, and the money too. The video concluded with a message to like and subscribe. Aight, that's it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, smash that like button and share it with your crew. Drop a comment, let me know what you think, and as always, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already.